So this is a tough one, okay? Like, the conversation is very difficult, but I think very important. It needs to be discussed in a very frank, rational, and calm way. This conversation makes people very uncomfortable, but it needs to be had because pedophilia as a word is being weaponized way too much, and the actual act of pedophilia itself is being a little bit defended too much, especially by liberal people. I'll explain. It doesn't make a lot of sense on face value, but as I explain, it will begin to make more sense, right? So first we have to discuss this. So Hashinshin is a Twitch streamer. He streams League of Legends, and I actually happen to be quite the fan of Hashinshin. He's the reason why I went to Twitch, actually. Inspired me to even start going on Twitch, even though I haven't been doing that lately. I'll get back on to live streams eventually, but that's neither here nor there. Point is, Hashinshin was revealed to have chatted with a 15-year-old League player by the name of Callus, I believe, or so. Her real name's Maya. He was talking to Maya when she was 15. He admitted to that. And there was another girl named Vicky he began talking to when she was 16. But as she got older, back around 18, they started chatting again, or at the very least from the logs, they talked to a point where she became 18 at the very least. A lot of screen captures, a lot of screens and whatnot. There was one catfish named Key, which was clear entrapment. Because it's entrapment, I'm just gonna dismiss it outright. There's a reason why To Catch a Predator has never convicted any of the predators they caught, because that's called entrapment. You can't purposefully do that. You can't purposely try to lead someone into a crime in order to try to convict them. That's just not how that works. There's a lot of flush. There's a lot of bullcrap going on between Hashinshin and his girlfriend. But the most important thing that I kind of want to sharpen up and clear up to make a lot of sense is that people keep misusing the word pedophile as a weapon to hurt people and take things from people. Hashinshin has been banned from Twitch. Technically speaking, he did not actually infringe on any of Twitch's guidelines, which is a strange ban, at least to me, because having conversations with 15 to 16-year-old girls outside of the platform of Twitch, I don't remember that being in the Twitch terms and conditions. Perhaps that it is. Maybe I missed that part in the terms and conditions. But, that doesn't make sense to me, to punish someone for what they did outside of Twitch, from Twitch. See, the point is, it's a weaponization. It's trying to hurt people. More than that, what's more important is people keep calling him a pedophile. That's just not the case. Now, why is this important? Again, you're weaponizing the word pedophile to hurt and attack and take things from people, when technically, just to be clear, I don't really think what he did was right. I really don't. Poor form on Senpai's part, talking or flirting with 15 to 16-year-old girls. Poor form. But it's not pedophilia specifically. Let's break down why. He was not grooming specifically. I keep seeing people say over and over again, he was grooming these girls. He was not grooming. I'll explain everything, and I'll explain why pedophilia is such a problem in general. As if people seem to only kind of get caught on one element of pedophilia, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. I'm going to explain that having an attraction, even though the correct word would be ephebophilia, to 15 to 16-year-old girls, it's a lot more reasonable than pedophilia is, and this is bullshit. Okay, so let me explain first with this. Pedophilia is an attraction to prepubescent children. Okay, now homosexuals can also be pedophiles. I'm not sure why that's not really addressed. Mostly it's because people want to defend homosexuals because they're sick of them being a minority class that's constantly being attacked. But it is important to highlight that yes, homosexuals can also be pedophilic. So that's what pedophilia is, an attraction or sexual attraction to prepubescent children. This is prior to them being able to have sex or have secondary sex characteristics. Okay, it logically makes no sense. It's totally unreasonable for lots of different reasons, okay? But we'll save that conversation for another time. The mere fact alone that Hashinshin was flirting with the 15-year-old automatically it's not pedophilia. It doesn't really mean this is a hell of a lot. This it's just not even the same scope of an issue here, okay? Talking to a 15-year-old and abusing a child, they're not the same thing. Now, how do I know this? Because 15-year-old people, they may not be the most intelligent individuals, but how old is 15 really? I'm not saying a person is as smart as they're going to be at 15. That's not what I'm saying, man. What I am saying is 15 to me, sound old enough to decide whether or not you want to talk to your favorite Twitch streamer, you know, on Twitter. Like, that's to me. Like, if you can't make a decision like that by the time you're 15, then just give up, motherfucker, because life is way harder than that, okay? You know, now obviously, I'm quoting Dave Chappelle word for word, because seriously, if you're 15 and you made it to Twitch, if you made it to Twitch, I was correct there, and you made it to Twitter to talk to this person that you look up to, and they're giving you the time of day. A lot of people are constantly referring to these girls as victims, that these girls were somehow victimized by Hashinshin, and I just can't really see a victim here. Even I'll throw up some of these messages here, and you'll find that, of course, this is poor form on Senpai's part. You shouldn't touch a 15-year-old girl specifically for this reason, but it is still important to note that what he's doing here is not grooming in the slightest, okay? Now, let me explain what grooming is in relation to pedophiles. Grooming is preparing a child for sexual intercourse, okay? The thing about pedophiles is they don't normally jump out of the wilderness and grasp children and just have sex with them. That's not normally what they do. One of the problems of it is the fact that it's usually they're trying to create a back catalog of favors, of objects and things and gifts given to the child in order to make the child feel like they owe something to that person, okay? So the pedophile gives children lots of different things, like babysitter. Usually they have to be like babysitters or people that can constantly come into contact with the kid, because normally just random strangers, just not normally something you could really do reasonably. But the thing about grooming is pedophiles will also show children pornography and explain it to them in a reasonable or rational way in order to get the child to think that sexual intercourse between them and the adult is perfectly fine or okay. So that's what grooming is. It's preparing the child and convincing the child that sexual intercourse is okay, and creating a back catalog of gifts and favors to make the child feel like they have to trade in their sex in order to balance out what the pedophile has given them. This is correct. This is what grooming is correctly, okay? Now, there's plenty of reasons why this is heinous and why this is terrible, okay? Like destroying a child's ability to understand and use sex in its correct, natural, beautiful way between a male and a female is like the hallmark of evil. People's disdain for pedophilia is 100% correct when you look at it in its correct context. Now, a 15-year-old girl to a 16-year-old girl finding a streamer on the internet and then flirting with them and then talking sexually with them is not them being groomed. They already know what sex is. They came into the engagement with, here's a high status male, here's a guy that has status, here's I'm a fan of this guy, now I can get his attention. And that's the thing that really pisses me off about this shit, right? We're gonna sit here and pretend, like Boy made his video. Some of my subscribers don't really know who Voyboy is, but Voyboy is like this is for some reason like the patron saint of the League community, because I guess whenever he makes a video on his staircase, you know, that means that he's got a point to say, but he really doesn't, because he's trying to sit here and say that we need to stand with these victims. Like, these girls are victims of first of all, because I've just clearly defined being groomed, that's just not what happened with them. But they're not victims in any case, in any sense of the word, because they knew exactly what they were doing. Now, again, am I saying that it's okay to engage sexually with 15-year-old girls? Of course not. Now, I personally have quite the disdain for them, being a substitute teacher for quite some time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should trust it when I say this. There's really no reason to engage with they're more of a burden than anything else. Don't look at my video as me trying to say what Senpai Hashinshin did was correct. He should not have touched these girls with a 39.5-foot pole. He shouldn't have. And everyone is correct there. But calling them victims is just not accurate. They knew what they were doing. They knew that they were engaging with a guy that had status, and they knew that they could trade their sexuality in order to get attention. The problem, more than anything else, is the culture of trading sexuality for favors and attention, rather than using sexuality for its intended purpose of intimacy and bonding, and using it as a way in order to create more people. That's the biggest issue. The problem is the fact that women are recognizing I can trade sex for things. That's what it is. It's women's hyper attraction to status that is the problem here. Because again, if we were to just take because the problem here is just it is a problem in and of itself that isn't really being highlighted. At least to me, that bothers me a lot. Is the fact that high status males are being able to just grab and like pick and choose girls. No one really finds that to be an issue. Okay, no one really says that it's an issue except women who have been picked and used by them. But the problem is women facilitate a system like this, quote unquote. Women are facilitating that having status makes it easier for males to have sex with them because women are trading their sex for it. Okay, now again, am I saying that it was correct for him to flirt with these girls? No. But if you read these messages, you'll find that they're clearly engaged with him. Like he's not trying very hard to really convince these girls to do anything they don't like want to do. Like, and the most he does when he even tries to convince them is like he'll bring it up like once or twice, and then like that'll be the end of it, and then he'll move on. Like, I'm reading all this stuff with like Maya is clearly like flirting back with him. Maya is clearly engaging back with him. If you look at all the pages where like he sexualizes her, and you see that like this is kind of like a game to her at the very like the context here is not one of someone that's like terrified and scared and like doesn't understand what's going on and is being pressured and like that's not her. Like, Hashinshin's not offering her anything. He's not bolstering her career. He's just talking to her. That's the most of it. Should he have been talking to her? I don't really think so. Is this the most egregious thing anyone has ever done? Like, I don't know. Not even in the bloody slightest. Like I said, the biggest issue here is the fact that it can be misconstrued as pedophilia because she's a minor and people don't understand what pedophilia is. So the real issue here isn't what he actually did, but the fact that it can create this situation, where people are not understanding correctly like the issues and the problems here of like this culture. Again, do not misunderstand me. I'm not saying that what he did was fine when he was talking to like Vicky. He got a couple of pictures from Vicky, I believe. I don't really know the nature of those pictures because I imagine if those pictures were of the nudie variety, Vicky technically is a criminal because like even if a 17-year-old girl were to send naked pictures, she has created child pornography. Like, she is a criminal. If she distributes it, she's distributing child pornography. She is a criminal technically by the law. Now, I don't really know who's going to prosecute her for that, but technically speaking, like, that's a whole legal issue, like, right there, like the whole training of it all. It's its own thing. But my point is, if Hashinshin has done all these different illegal things, then where are the lawyers? Where are the police? Where are the people trying to get him out of here? Like I said, where's the police? You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is what really bothers me about like Me Too as a whole thing. I mean, they didn't really use the whole Me Too moniker, but you know, you guys understand colloquially what Me Tooing is. What pisses me off the most is the fact that they keep weaponizing these different things to like attack people who, like I said, Hashinshin certainly didn't do the right thing, but he's not a pedophile. This is just not the correct thing to label him as. It's not the correct thing to put on him, and the response, I think, is just way out of proportion. There's a lot more issues here, especially like there's one act of extortion that this young lady Karina tried to do on Hashinshin, which for some reason is glossed over. I don't even understand why this woman would even show these screenshots of her extorting Hashinshin as if this makes her look virtuous or reasonable in any capacity. Like I said, at one point it was just straight entrapment with the key catfish. Listen, I'm not saying Hashinshin made the right choices here and everywhere. He really didn't. Once again, just to be clear, so no one hits me with this nonsense, I'm not saying that he should have talked to these girls when they were 15. He should not have. But what I am saying is it's not pedophilia. That's not what happened. That's not correct. You can't put that on him. That's not the and again, one of the bigger issues that I'm noticing, especially if you go on TikTok, you're gonna find lots of young girls blasting the internet with a lot of sex and sexuality. These girls come to the internet knowing what sex is, knowing the response they're going to get, knowing all these things. There's this one I could find off the top of my head that it's just not even right. I'll just post, like, you're gonna be really uncomfortable with this, but the irony is she's the one posting it. I'm just commenting on it. If I comment on it, I look like there's something wrong with me for recognizing reality, which is one of the biggest issues with this conversation, is that a male looks strange if he comments upon the fact that this 16-year-old girl here is posting this sexual imagery on here on TikTok. There's so much that she's doing. It's just it's unreasonable. It's just unreasonable. But this is okay. This is totally fine unless you say something, unless you call it out. These girls are not victims. One of them, Vicky, again, became, like, if you'll look at some of the screenshots when she turns 18, and then she admits when she was 16 that she wanted him the whole time. Like, she knew what she was doing. Like, they know. Again, do they have the wisdom to use their sexuality correctly? Not at all. In fact, very many adult women don't. They like this is an issue of just females in general, and it's really bad for young ladies. It's really bad for teenagers. But that's the problem. Like, that's the issue. It's the fact that you've got kids, teenagers, recognizing that they can be sexual on the internet and get stuff out of it or get attention out of it, and they're not using it correctly. But it is inaccurate to call that pedophilia. It's not pedophilia, and it's not grooming, okay? There's multiple different problems here, but misconstruing it as pedophilia just kind of creates a whole smokescreen where people aren't seeing what the real evil of being a pedophile is. The real evil of being a pedophile is corrupting the innocence of a child who has done nothing wrong. It's totally destroying their life and making it so that they can't even use sex correctly anymore. People keep using sex like it's a toy, like it's just something to make you feel good. But there's more to it than that, and that gets obliterated when a child is groomed by a real pedophile, by a babysitter that was supposed to, like by people that they're supposed to look up to, see? And of course, people are trying to misconstrue that, like, Hashinshin being a streamer on the internet is one of those people these girls look up to. They didn't look up to him as some kind of role model. Like I'm the person who looked up to Hashinshin and enjoyed his content and just, like, enjoyed how fantastic he was with Aatrox. Like, that was me. I looked up to him. I aspired to mirror the outplays he could do with the champion Aatrox. That's me looking up to him. These girls weren't looking up to Hashinshin trying to say, well, let me see how I can be a better player and emulate his abilities and whatnot. No. They wanted some penis. They wanted some sexual attention. You could tell by the fact that they were flirting with them, and you can see in all of the screenshots that they themselves provided. Again, am I saying he should have engaged with them? No, of course not. Never should you engage with a 15-year-old to a 16-year-old on the internet. But it's ridiculous to pretend that they're not blasting the internet out with sex and sexuality. They are. They are. That's a problem unto itself. And it's even more ridiculous is to say that having an attraction to them when they look like adult women somehow means that as a male you're a pedophile and there's something wrong with you. That's just incorrect. That's not true. And the problem here is this is where it becomes really heinous. The problem here is now the actual pedophiles who refer to themselves as MAPs or minor attracted people now have a leg to stand on, right? Because if we call all of this crap pedophilia now they can argue, well, wait, hold on. Those minors, well, they're 15, 16, well, they look like adult women. Well, I should be okay with being with... And it's like, no. Because that's not what we're fucking talking about. That's not what the word means. And it's creating a smokescreen that's going to have to make it so that people like me who are reasonable and logical are like, no, dude, like, you have to use words correctly. You have to have an understanding of concepts correctly to address the problems that are happening. And addressing the problems that are happening is that 15-year-old girls to 16 to 17 blasting the internet with sexy pictures and sexy imagery and twerking is its own can of worms, okay? Again, a whole video just needs to be made of that one. But anyone indulging in that, they're not pedophiles. It's not pedophilia. That's not what that word means, especially if that person views them as an adult, because biologically that's what their brain is seeing. A pedophile is someone that wants a prepubescent child. Okay, prepubescent homosexuals can also be pedophiles. That's another important thing that people just want to scare away. Okay, that's what pedophilia is. All right, what Hashinshin did was wrong. He should not have done it. I agree with everyone who's saying he should not have. Calling these girls victims is a joke. It's a fucking joke. Okay? It's a fucking joke. It's a hilarious joke. Read this stuff. Calling them victims of what? Victims of flirting with the Twitch streamer that they wanted? Like, come on. No. He didn't take advantage of them. He didn't hurt them. He didn't take anything from them. He asked for pictures. Okay? Now, the nature of these pictures. I don't know if they're nudies. If they're nudies, then we need to talk about that. Doesn't seem to be the case. But they willingly did it. Okay? Should they have been wiser? Should he have been wiser? Yes. No one's wrong there. But one more time, that's not pedophilia. With that being said, I'm certainly hope you guys got something out of today's video. You probably didn't, but if you did, man, go and click the like button. Just shoot, go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. See you cool cats soon. Adios.